Okay, we're going to get started. Awesome. Just as I take a bite, right? Well, welcome everyone to the call. I know there were several people that are going to be hopping on late and people that are going to be watching the recording, but we have a really great conversation. We've gone 2 weeks between calls, which is so, I just miss you guys when we haven't had a call. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, man, last week when there wasn't one with the holiday, I'm like, what, our team call? They're always so wonderful and love to be together. And so we want to, for this one, Lindsay and I are going to lead a lot of the conversation. And we were talking this morning just about, what can happen for us in those weeks between having a team call or having some sort of, motivation or external motivation, or maybe a non-promotion week, things like that. So some of the stuff that can maybe take us out of a certain level of performance. So we want to address that. But first, I just love to hear some sharing. Here's some triumphs. What are things that you learned that went well, or a breakdown, or where you took action when you were afraid? I just would love to hear just any triumph, any learning, any lesson that you've gotten in the last couple weeks. So I'd like 2 or 3 people to share, please.
Yeah, Jocelyn, I'll start off the sharing.
Great.
So you were actually there for this, so I'm sure you know what's coming, but we have been meeting up at the Freeman's house, our Phoenix team, or part of our Phoenix team, every Wednesday. It's been awesome because the threshold and tolerance for pain is so much higher when you're in a group. So if you don't have anything like that, highly recommend getting in some kind of group and working together because it's just fun. It's easy. When people say no, it's like no big deal. When people say yes, it's a celebration. So all of it. But I was standing in the kitchen with Aaron and Eva, and I was literally going through my contacts list, just like scrolling. And I came across the name of a woman that I had gone on a few dates with in the past. And she came to a Super Saturday with us because she was super interested in isogenics. She does fitness competitions. She's really into her health. But the way that our dating ended was like, I pretty much told her, like, there's no chemistry for me between the two of us. And I don't want to pursue anything any further, So it was left at that. And so what was there for me was like, man, I really don't want to call her. Like, I don't know if she's mad. I don't know if it's still weird. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I know she really was interested in this. So regardless of how I felt at the time, I pressed the button. And I ended up having a conversation with her that looked like, she shared with me that, one, she really appreciated how open and honest I was with our relationship. And, like, she's totally still interested in isogenics. And she's been, like, waiting for me to contact her. And she's got this new job where she's had an increase in pay, so she can afford to do it now. She's on a trip in Minnesota. She's getting training there. And as soon as she comes back, which is October 1st, she wants to start with the president's back. Insane. Like, totally insane. It was not going to go that way. But, like, just because I pressed send and said hello, the magic of it is, like, she's going to be part of our team.
Yes, love that. And it's awesome because you even mentioned some of the considerations that came up as you see the name. And so how many people can relate, whether you've got your screen showing or not, to the moment you look at people's names, all the reasons why or why not they might be interested come up. And so you speak to that so perfectly, but then what had you click call? Like, what was the thought that then said call?
I think the thought was, well, I really don't want to do this, so I should probably do this.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And I had already, and Aaron and Eva were right there, so I talked to them about it. So now it was like, it wasn't just in my head anymore. Like, I was on the line for something, They were like, well, now you have to call her.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And just, it's so perfect what you're sharing. So out of what commitment do you have? What's your commitment to?
With sharing isogenics, my commitment is everybody gets to choose. Like, I present what this is, and I do my best at doing that, and they get to choose. Like, I'm not choosing for people anymore. So it was my commitment to offer something that I love, that I think would actually, make a huge difference for her.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let her choose.
Awesome. That's powerful. That's huge. Thank you so much, Michael.
You're welcome.
All right. Who else would like to share either a breakthrough where you took action when you weren't in the past, or something and it didn't go as expected? So anything that's learning or courage, like at least one other person to share, please.
I'll share. This is Ruth.
Awesome, Ruth.
Yeah. I guess I've just been trying to be more on the lookout to really asking the people that are on, not necessarily on my chicken list, but where I would kind of hesitate, just to be like, no, I'm going to go for it. And even if I get a no, and even excited when I get a no, because I know that means I'm closer to getting a yes. And so, and also I've just been feeling like, even though I get last week I talked to somebody and they had not seen the stuff I had sent them, but they were forming opinions, but I wasn't like taken back by it, and I just felt more confident. So yeah, that's great.
That's awesome. Okay, so you called people that you were hesitant to in the past?
Yes.
Awesome. And what's that from? Like, what are you more committed to than staying fearful to call them? Like, what's your greater commitment?
Because I know the nutrition is absolutely helping people, and that and I guess maybe also from going to Celebration, I just have more confidence in what the company's all about, and also that we absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. Totally. I'm right there with you. That's awesome, Ruth. Way to go for reaching out to those people on our chicken list. That's huge. Awesome. Well, what we want to dive into tonight, and you can listen for yourself as well as listen for the people you're working with, you've sponsored, and you're supporting them in their growth in this opportunity. So thinking from like a coaching hat as well. And that's when we say yes to this and we start to take action, there's this period of excitement. We've all been there, right? Where everything's really exciting. Even right out of Celebration, we're excited, we're pumped. We start a 90-day game plan, we're excited, we're pumped. And one who just hopped on, hey guys. So we all have this, and people you start that say yes to the opportunity are gonna have these periods of excitement. And so for yourself, as well as yourself as a coach, because what I really want everyone, one of the biggest outcomes is that you start to think beyond yourself. You start to listen as a coach and who you can be as a leader for your team, whether they exist now or for the future. Because that's how we see you all. We see you all as leaders, whether you have the results or not. So there's going to be people that you sponsor, including yourself, that are pumped in the beginning. And then what happens? Life happens, circumstances happen. It's a whole mishmash. And so what we can look at is like starting to have, for ourselves and others, learn about the considerations that we make that have us take an action or don't take an action. Because when we look at someone, like, Michael looked at his phone and he had all the considerations not to. And then there's just taking the action and just going to find out. Now, I'm not saying you need to go call all your exes. You might. That might be cool. But when you have looked at, because I'm looking in my past of periods before this 90-day game plan, there were days where my mood or my circus took me out of action. Everybody know what those days you have that? Okay, so let's look at that. What are some, let's look at some moods or how we're feeling. What are those considerations we say to ourselves? Who would join me in this authentic conversation and say those things you say to yourself? Will someone unmute themselves and share some of those things?
I've got a good one.
Okay.
It's there like pretty much every day. It's like right at the end of my work day, I'm like, man, I've worked a really hard day today. Like I've put in some serious hours. I've been working since 9 a.m. Like I deserve to just chill. Like I'm just going to chill tonight. That's what I deserve to do.
Great. Perfect. That's what the brain says. Boom, like that. Love that. Yep. Mm-hmm. Who else?
I have one too.
Yeah, Joy.
For me, it's like, man, this has been a tough week. Both my kids are sick. Everyone at school is sick, and we're all cranky. And I feel like I'm getting sick, or I'm afraid I'm gonna get sick. I just don't feel like making any phone calls or basically answer any texts or do anything. Not even log on Facebook, honestly.
Yeah, perfect. Those are great considerations. Love that. All right, let's hear 3, 4, 5 more. We know we got them, guys. Yeah, Dawn.
So I need to have a lot of energy before I get this, before I call this person. I have to be excited. I have to be in the right mindset. I have to be coming from the right place. I'm just not there right now. So I'll get there.
Yeah, you'll get the energy later.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good. I'll share one. I need to make sure I find out a lot about their life first. Like I need to know them really well. That'll be sometimes there for me. Let's hear a couple more, guys.
I guess I'm waiting for a lot of my back into the school.
Margie, we can't quite hear you. Maybe start over. Try again.
I've been waiting for a lot of my teacher friends to get back into the school year, to get into their group, to reach back out to them. And I think I've been so busy too with my kids playing sports, Jarrett playing sports on the weekend that I'm almost telling myself, oh, ready yet? They're not ready yet. Give them another day. Give them another couple days. I'm getting into a little trap of giving them more time before I reach back out. Or am I reaching out too many times? So I'm in a little trap right now.
Perfect. Love those considerations. Those are awesome. Thank you. Drew, were you going to share?
Yeah, I'm really good at, well, I just go ahead and run a conversation in my head where I convince myself they're just not interested before I even have the conversation with them.
Yeah, and what are those reasons that they're not interested?
They're already on some products that work for them, or, they're going to think this is some kind of scam, whatever's there for me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Love that. I know for other people, the consideration I hear a lot when I'm working with people I'm coaching is, well, I don't want to bug them. Right? I don't want to bug them. We all have this thing about not bugging people. Yet, what we all want more than anything is connection and people to care. And we don't want to bug people. Kind of funny, right? Okay, so thank you for everyone that shared, and we have like a glimpse at the million of considerations we could have. They are endless. Endless. And they have nothing to do with the most powerful thing that we can use, and that's action. There's just taking the action. So when we look at those considerations, just as considerations and not that, instead get interested in what if I did? What if I did call them? What if I did text them? Like being interested in that sort of outcome. And so something for myself, and I've noticed my transformation is there's just taking the action. That's actually the only thing that produces results. And we're going to tonight go into some effective actions and, the way to achieving those big goals. But, something Lindsay and I were talking about earlier is it's really, really easy to get excited after celebration, 90-day game plan, right? Like we said this at the beginning, and we get hyped. We get really, really hyped. And the things people back the most is consideration instead of action, and holding ourselves accountable to the action. We can't wait for external motivations. We really can't. Can't wait for a team call. We can't wait for a promotion. We can't wait for, somebody we really love in the company to post a video. And so it's really an opportunity right now to just ask yourself, do you want your considerations or do you want your results more? And it's really it. And I get that some considerations are can be really crippling in a way, like fears, and based in reality. They're just not. You never know if somebody could be preying on the other line. I'll give you an example. In the past, my considerations a lot, like I told you, where I need to know more of what's going on in their life first. Like I'd be a jerk to call them up, right? So this 90-day game plan, I said, I'm going to have a breakthrough in performance. And I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to this guy in probably a year and a half. And I probably talked to him twice. And I was like, I'm going to have a breakthrough in action. Boom, called him up. He enrolled. It's like, because I just didn't listen to the considerations. And we're going to talk later about and other ways we can create freedom around what we can say and everything. But I just invite you, after this, notice that chatter is going to come up anyway. It happens to all of us. We act like we're the only ones that have those things come up for us, and we're not. We all have that inner chatter. We all do. But it has nothing to do with action. So that's what I want to just complete the first section, so that as you listen to these next conversations, because we can give you all the strategies, all the great ways to say things, all this. And literally, if you just have a breakthrough in action alone, that will be huge. And something else I was talking to somebody today was you can't predict the thing they're going to say. So you just have to be over there. You just have to be in the conversation. And Michael didn't know. The girl could have answered and what then would really react that way. Maybe 1% of people would, but he was really interested. What outcome might, this produce? How's this conversation going to go? So kind of also living your own reality TV show in a way, ooh, how could this go? So I want to turn it into another section of the conversation. But first, I just want to ask, what can you imagine for yourself if you were to have a breakthrough in action? What would that be like for you? I'd like for 2 people that haven't shared yet to say something. And sharing is the perfect first breakthrough in taking action. I'm going to stare at you all for as long as this takes.
Jocelyn, it's Kathy.
Yeah.
It would be pretty amazing to just, hear the chatter and say, screw it, and just do it anyways.
Awesome.
Because I know I hear that chatter plenty, and I hate it.
And it doesn't go away ever. Mm-mm. Okay, good. So are you taking on a breakthrough in performance?
Yeah.
Action?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Got to.
Love that.
Got to.
Who else? I'm going to stare people down.
What I like to think about who is really good at this, or who do I think would be really good at this? And so a breakthrough for me would be being that person. So being, Eric Coover or Kathy Coover, and just no matter where they are, whatever situation, everything turns into an opportunity conversation or a health conversation or anything, and it just flows. It's just natural and it fits, and it never sounds phony or lame. So that would be a breakthrough. So to feel like that's there, and I just got to do it, and that's what's going to come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they only became great at that by taking action, right? Yeah, awesome. Well, that's what I just, throughout this, keep asking yourself, like, do I want my considerations or do I want my results more as you approach anybody? And so what we're going to jump into now, the next section is going to be around the daily actions, because we're committed. This team is not just hyped for a short term. Like, you actually produce like the results you want daily. And Lindsay's going to get into that, like what's the access to that. And then we're going to dive into some simple ways that take all the like fluff and like, what do I say? And how can I make this simpler, that make taking action even faster and just without thinking about it. So Lindsay, would you jump in for us?
Hey guys, can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. So that was just so awesome. How many of you got some value out of that whole conversation? Thumbs up. Yeah, and we've done enough of these 90-day game plans. We sort of know exactly what phase that you're in. We know what's coming. If you're not there, that's why being part of the Healthy Mind and Body program is so critical when you're putting yourself in a 90-day game plan like this, because just like we go through deception in our health, deception will absolutely creep in when you're putting your word to big goals for your business. And that's exactly when, and if you all might be experiencing the same thing, just today, got a message from one of my newer associates who was with us at Celebration. And guys, this is just the numbers of it. It's not personal. It doesn't mean anything about me. It doesn't mean anything about her, but she's quitting. She's taking herself out of the game. And I really want to acknowledge each and every one of you. You are still here. You are showing up, and that includes you who are watching this as a recording, because I know there's a couple people who do that. And when it comes to what it looks like long-term to be successful in this business, it's continue to show up, especially when you don't want to, especially on the nights that you have every reason not to. You want to run. You don't want to be held accountable. You don't want to hear any of this crap because it's going to empower you, and that's just not, you just want to be right about how bad at this you are. And that's the phase that we're kind of entering into. So if you're not there yet, don't worry, it's coming. It hit me this week. It hit people in my team. It's part of the process. And when you bump up against that resistance, it often means you're going into uncharted territory. You are getting dangerously close to your next breakthrough, and your inner identity throws a hissy fit. Those of you who have kids, we're talking like stage 5 meltdown in the middle of Target, kicking and screaming. That's what your identity does. And the only place to go back to, just like Jocelyn said, is action. What you can do in the face of that is be consistently taking action on a daily basis. Now, one of the things that I've often seen, and I know I've fallen into this trap for myself, is at this point in the 90-day game plan, once I've come down from the high of Celebration, at some point I'll look at my results and be like, okay, that's not really what I wanted by this point. And then there's really 2 different places I could go with this. Number 1, I could go into making myself wrong, beating myself up, and or justifying why, right? Because we all have busy lives. We all can probably justify how right it is that, we didn't have the time to make those calls. Totally normal if you find your mind going there. The other place to go, and as I actually started doing this last year, and since I can't even tell you how much freedom mentally it's given me in my business. And that is what I started doing is I have a spreadsheet. I track every single conversation I have, even those initial messages that haven't yet turned into an Isogenics conversation. So I track how many new outreach messages How many of those turned into an isogenics conversation? How many of those did I inevitably enroll? And then, like the follow-up points along the way. And what's amazing is that every single time, the numbers don't lie. If I haven't been enrolling, I can look back. How many new conversations have I generated? It's always a match. So that's the place to go, and that's the way to get out of our own way and almost prevent ourselves from going into default patterns from the past that just don't work. Is hold yourself accountable and run this like a business. Actually track, if you're not yet, that's okay, start now. Track who you're reaching out to, how many times you've followed up with them, and then track, I just have a little spot for notes. Now, don't get even caught up in how that spreadsheet has to look. Find a way to track that works for you and hold yourself accountable to looking at that daily. And if I look at my sheet and I look at the last new contact that I added was 3 days ago, that just, for me, for my goals, that just doesn't work. And again, I could either go into beating myself up or why that's happening, or I can say, okay, cool, let's play a game. Could I add 10 more names to this list today? Could I just get really unreasonable and go out there for some rejection therapy? And, I know based on how many people I want to enroll at, each month marker of the 90-day game plan, how many conversations I need to be having. So that's really something to check back in with yourself at this point of the 90-day game plan is, I don't want you to fall into the trap that I have before and base how I feel about my performance on the results that I have. Because at the end of the day, it's great for me to say, I want to enroll 20 people. That's great. Or I want to enroll 2 people every week. That's my goal. I'm going to do it. Well, that's great. And we know if you work through enough numbers, statistically speaking, yes, you can expect to enroll about 2 people on average per week. But I can't control what someone else does. What's the one and only thing I can control? Someone tell me.
What you do.
What I do. Thank you, Michael McPherson. So all I can control is the number of conversations I generate with the intent of contributing to someone else. So that's the biggest switch that I've made for myself in this 90-day game plan is it's all about, and I even have metrics in place where I have little rewards built in. If I do my 3 new contacts a day, 5 days a week, minimum, and a lot of days I do more, then, by the end of the week, I get $50 that I get to spend on whatever I want. Like, you can create your own fun little game out of it. If you're really motivated by rewards, don't wait for someone else to reward you. Put a new pair of Lululemon pants on your vision board, or, whatever really motivates you. I just say that because that's mine. But reward yourself based on what you can control versus on an outcome that will happen inevitably if you put in the action. So it's just a little switch of focus. Anyone have questions about that or have something else to contribute that really works well for you in that realm of tracking your everyday activity? Any comments, questions about that?
I would just add about real quick about planning my weeks out and stuff so that I can make sure I have sufficient time for all those is I look the Friday before the week, because when you hit Monday, it's like it's already happening. Life is going. So I would set your planning for them to be several days before it even begins.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then the other thing I would say is, and don't look to Jocelyn or Brad or I, for this accountability. This is really a great place for you to start stepping into your leadership. And if you know yourself, like I know I'm more likely to do something if I tell another person I'm going to do it than I am if I tell myself I'm going to do it. So I have, a smaller group that I'm coaching, and as, I'm coaching them. So as their leader, if I'm asking them to do that, then I sure as hell better be doing that, right? So putting things in place where, whether it's you text a screenshot of the 3 people you connected with every day or every week, find an accountability buddy, whether or not you're financially linked to them, and find someone who is willing to play that game, step up to the next level, And you know, if you're both on the same page about keeping each other accountable, it only works if you actually keep each other accountable. But that's another great way, depending on how you're motivated, to put another layer of support around action so that you have a compelling reason to step past where your resistance wants you to stop. So with that, I'll pass it back to you, Jocelyn. I know we were going to talk a little bit about cause, you know, being cause, and some dynamics of actually starting conversations. So it's one thing to say, hey, have these 3 conversations a day or 5 conversations a day. But how many of you, your mind goes, okay, great, that's great, but what the F do I say? What do I say to people? So don't worry, we've got you covered.
And I'm sorry, I just got with the hat on. I was like, that's awesome. Okay, so what I want to continue repeatedly going over on these calls to just keep programming our brains, as well as, again, listening for the people you're coaching. I want you to keep looking at yourself as a leader and the people you're going to be working with, and looking at these opportunities like, wow, I'm noticing this is a trend. I'm going to implement this with people I coach and everything like that, because you're good. You're solid. You're golden. It's time for you coaching, right? That's how I see you all, at least, right? Are you guys good with that? Are you guys good with the idea of you being leaders and coaches and mentoring, like, you know, people to create their businesses? Okay. So the breakthrough I have had, and Aaron's had as well, since results in the past, but this has been unprecedented results for our business in Celebration. And the biggest thing is literally that it's like all the layers on top of so you have the opportunity, you have the health and the wealth opportunity, and then we had all these layers of junk on top of it, right? Like concerns, considerations, how do I say this, all those concerns and considerations were this layer that just make it this big, huge, confusing thing. What do I even say? But when you get to the core of it, what are we actually talking about? And I know I mentioned this last call, and I'm going to keep doing it because this will give you so much freedom. All you're talking about is a company that offers health and wealth solutions. To get even simpler, the tool we've been using that has made it so easy to start conversations is you're talking about a 16-week IsaBody challenge. It emphasizes nutrition and accountability. That's it. It's like when you just get to the core about what you're talking about, it really is simple, and anything else you're adding, the concerns, that's just added fluff. You're just talking about a health solution and a company that helps reimburse people for their use and for sharing. That's simply it. So what would it be like for you if you went to a conversation just like, oh, all I'm doing is mentioning this 16-week IsaBody challenge. Emphasizes nutrition and accountability. Like, that's it. Anything else that you're adding to it is your own adding. And so all you can do, yes, Danny's talking about ABC 1, 2, 3. Aaron's very happy that you mentioned ABC. ABC, he's making his dinner. All right, there we go. Right. As he's chewing.
Somebody did. ABC 1, 2, 3.
ABC 1, 2, 3. Right. Awesome. So it's, yeah.
I have a question. When you say it emphasizes nutrition and accountability, if someone says, well, what's the accountability? How do you explain that?
Okay, well, very little do I get asked that, but I would just say that the accountability is that you are signing up for it. You have tracking measurements, because they do. There's a tracking guideline that people can fill out, and they also write a essay. And I say we can create any sort of additional accountability that you want. But mostly I emphasize the power in signing up for something and for having, having what they want to achieve on it. Like, we have 3 people right now that they are gung-ho to win it, because we really created how powerful the rewards are, and that casting that vision of what it'd be like for them to be either on the cruise and or winning the $25,000. So I'm going off on a tangent, but does that help at all with the accountability? That's what I mentioned. But mostly people are going, oh, what's the nutrition?
And the Stronger Together group too. You could always plug that as part of the accountability.
Totally. Absolutely. The community. Absolutely. So I want you to just like for a minute, like really just close your eyes and just get that that's all you're talking to them about. And as far as the wealth solution, it's word of mouth marketing. That's it. It's a distribution model. That's it. I was having a coaching session with someone on Friday and they said, how do you explain network marketing and how it's not how is it a good thing? And I said, do you agree word of mouth marketing is the best marketing in the world? Yes. Great. That's what it is. That's it. So wherever you're adding any weirdness to it, and I've done it too, but that's where unprecedented results have come from celebration, is when we literally took away all the layers of everything else we were making it and just got to the core. 16-week Ice the Body Challenge, word of mouth marketing. That's it. That's all you're talking about. And people who you're coaching who want to be sharing, when they're like, well, what am I don't understand. What do I say? It's bringing them back to all it is a 16-week Ice the Body Challenge that emphasizes nutrition. I can show you the website. That's it. How does the compensation plan work? Word of mouth. So I want to ask you guys to try this for yourself. I want to ask a couple of people to literally just say what the 16-week Ice the Body Challenge is with removing any extra fluff or concern you have. Who's going to take this on? Eva, you're up. We can't hear you, babe.
Oh, you mean I have to say it right now? I thought you were saying who's going to do it. I got to move then.
No, I was saying I would like to hear you share.
Okay, I got to move. I can't do it where I was then. So what we're doing is a 16-week Ice the Body Challenge. It just involves superfood nutrition and accountability.
Boom. Great. And have you been also utilizing that? Because I know we talked a little bit. Have you been utilizing that in conversations, and how has it made a difference?
Yeah, I love it. It's just simple. It gives the context for 16 weeks. It's not a 30-day silver bullet fix-it type of program. It's a 16-week nutrition process. And it's a challenge. There's money to win, whether it's $200 or $25,000.
Yes, awesome. Yes, Margie?
Lisa just shared a great photo tonight on 16 weeks from now. It's going to be 2017. So I took that and shared that photo and posted the same thing. Where do you want to be? And just shared that I've got the perfect 16-week challenge that I would love to help you through and make this possible. And just tied it to where 16 weeks will be by today. And I think letting someone know that there is an accountability group to take part in it with, and then it's very personal to their goals. It doesn't have to be hardcore at the gym. It's on it's to their own personal goals.
So I was with you, and then I started to get a little confused. Like, just not because what you were saying was confusing, but it seems like you added some concern on there. Like,
I don't know if I added concern. I apologize. I came straight from 2 practices and putting the kids to bed, so my mind's like,
no, that's totally fine. No. What I mean by that, when I say bring some concern, like some explanation. Like if you were to say that what the Ice the Body Challenge, because what it really is, like I'm just hearing there was like a little extra in there about the exercise and their goals and everything.
Right. Well, I explained that it's just a commitment with nutrition and personal goals to commit themselves for 16 weeks.
Yep. That's perfect. Yeah, no. And I apologize. I could have misheard something. Like so it was just something I wanted to clarify, like what you were exactly saying. Just because what I'm trying to create on this is just that it's just getting to the core of all it is. So what you said was totally fine. I was just trying to get to like what it simply is, because I used to create these elaborate, like, here's what it is and here's what it isn't, and then people were like, I'm a little confused. What are you talking about? Like, I'd go to the gym and like I'd get all these like lengthy questions, you know? So who else would like to take a shot at just creating it as it is? Yeah, Linz.
Me. The Ice the Body challenge that we're doing as a team is this awesome 16-week transformation challenge, and we're just really focusing with people on nutrition and accountability. Do you want to join?
Yeah!
No, that's awesome. And I've really learned that from you guys, watching what you've been doing and duplicating, because what's great, and I think the beauty of you creating this is so simple for us, Joss, is that that duplicates where certain things I've done in the past, I know, like you're saying, certain things you've done in the past, maybe not so duplicatable, but I love the simplicity of it for sure.
Cool. Awesome. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, like, well, what ifs? Yeah, buts. Nothing? Is it crystal clear? Does it give you some simple ways to bring it up?
I want to just share, if no one else has questions, something else that I've been using to start conversations in this 90-day game plan. And again, all of these are just suggestions. I think always, again, you each are leaders. We want you to take what feels authentic to you, what feels great for you, and run with it. These are all just suggestions and things that, have worked well for us, but you are your own leader and you have so much value to offer. So I absolutely have been using the Ice the Body challenge. The other thing that I like to do, first and foremost, is I have to check in with myself before I, when I'm thinking about isogenics, I check myself before I wreck myself and make sure that my focus is on the right thing. Am I really focusing on how I could contribute to someone else's life with or without isogenics? If I'm truly coming from that place, there's really no wrong thing I could say. There's really not, because I kind of offer people two different options as we get into a conversation. Either I'm going to offer that I'd love to plug them into our private community because there's so much support and coaching there. Or I'm going to, it'll lead into an isogenics conversation. So something that I do is anytime someone likes or comments on a post, especially those people, I've had several people that have enrolled in this first 30 days just from a like on a post, because I message them afterwards, and this is what I typically say. I'll typically say, hey, thanks so much for the love on my post this week. I just really appreciate the support, which is true. Like, the more support we get on our posts, the more we can help contribute to other people. So I just, number one, reach out and say, hey, thanks so much for the love on that post, today. I really appreciate the support. How are you? Sometimes, it's just that simple. Other times, if maybe it was a more direct post about the Ice the Body challenge, maybe I'll include something that says, hey, this challenge we're up to is really all about contribution. Is there any way I can contribute to you? And it's amazing the conversations that it opens, because especially if someone has liked a post that you've put up, especially something having to do with health and fitness, if you are truly being vulnerable and coming from a place of contribution and just generating really, really great posts, there was a reason that they liked that post. And it's just opened up some amazing conversations with people who then they'll say, yeah, wow, it's just so motivating. I watch you on Facebook. It's so motivating. I could use some motivation, right? Oftentimes, the very next thing that they'll share is, you know, what's really going on with them? What's a pain point? So again, this is just another way. There's not always going to be one way to generate leads or one way to find out who the next person you should contact is. But I definitely pay attention to anyone who's liking or commenting on things that I'm sharing on Facebook. And again, it all starts with being really consistent and adding value in the things that you're posting, but then using that as an opportunity just to say thank you for commenting or, you know, showing love on that post, and taking it right to a question. Hey, is there anything I can do to contribute to you? Because if you're consistent with your branding and people know that you're the person to come to for all things health, wellness, inspiration, motivation, even if they're not ready yet for an Isagenix conversation, you better believe they're watching even closer. And it could even lead right then and there into a chance to add them to our private Facebook community, which then just exposes them even more to what we're doing. So any questions about that as one possible way to start conversations? Anyone have anything else similar that you have used yourself? Sort of like a template. These are great because they can be an easy little template to kind of get the ball rolling. Okay, cool. We can always, I mean, really, where we want to be sharing those. Or Dawn, were you going to say something?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Say, if someone's liking your posts that are just pictures of lifestyle, like have nothing to do with health and wellness, or has nothing to, it's not a power post, it's not even a creating curiosity post, does that count for this type of thing?
Yeah, so sometimes what I'll do in that case is, you know, again, especially if it's someone maybe I'm not in constant communication with, sometimes I'll just say, oh my gosh, like, you totally triggered my memory. You know, you liked my post today. How the heck are you? Like, I haven't talked to you in forever. So I'll more use it as like, I saw that you liked that today and it made me think of you. Like, how are you? And that's just really authentic for me. I love telling people, hey, you've been on my heart. How are you? And I don't care if they think it's weird. Like, it's the truth, you know, especially if I see them, or sometimes I'll say to people, you keep popping up on my Facebook feed. It must be a sign that I meant to reach out and ask you how you're doing. You know, it feels good to have someone genuinely take an interest in you. And, you know, again, I don't reach out initially with the intent that it's going to turn into something for Isagenix. And I think that's the key, is where I see a lot of my newer business builders getting all in their heads, and I've done it too, is, oh my gosh, what's the next thing to say? How do I turn this into an Isagenix conversation? You don't. Just be a normal human, you know, just be genuinely interested and curious, and trust that the doors will open. If you're honestly looking to contribute and you have no agenda and no timeline, and you're not just trying to get that double PIB this week, the doors will open. And oftentimes what I'm finding for myself is, as I'm taking action, it may not even be the conversations that I'm generating, but my energy in the world is such that I am out to radically contribute to people. Like, watch out if you're within a 3-foot radius of me, that people come out of the woodwork that weren't even on my radar. And those people want Isagenix. Has anyone ever had that experience? Like, you're just in so much action that it's almost like the floodgates open, and all of a sudden you're like, I mean, just today, my aunt, who I never talk to, and my family is severely unhealthy. She's down 12 inches in 2 weeks. Feels better than she's ever felt, all because she liked something I posted and I started a conversation with her. And I don't talk to her at all. I don't even really know her, but I'm related to her, right? So when we take ourselves out of the equation and our considerations and just get curious about someone else, that's where the magic happens. But you can't figure that out before you start getting out there, getting messy, and having conversations with people. Allow yourself to mess it up. I mean, Jocelyn and I were talking today, just kind of planning for this call. I've had so many conversations, you guys, that don't go well. Or you end the call and you're like, okay, that didn't quite go how I expected. Or, you know, even a Facebook message where it just kind of gets that awkward trail of like, you know, boring surface level conversation back and forth, and you're like, all right, this is going nowhere, you know, or just, you know, it just kind of fizzles out. Well, I don't ever think to myself, oh God, how do I turn this back into an isogenics conversation? I don't. If it's meant to turn that way, it will. But I think it's just getting into that action of, you know, our job is just to be out there contributing to people. And when we think about it that way, it's not like, oh, I have to make a call. It really is like, all right, I don't have that much energy right now because I worked my butt off today. You know what's the fastest way to give yourself energy? Go pour into another person. Even just go like spread some love on 5 people's Facebook posts. Just like add a comment to someone that you don't even really know that well about like how much you love their post, and pour greatness into them. Little stuff like that. Anything you want to add to that? Or how do we want to wrap this up with a nice little bow, Miss Jocelyn?
I think that, I mean, really the invitation is just to take on action and just notice those thoughts and considerations that we all have, and just see, like, this week, if you set the tone for yourself of like, this week, I want to experience myself in more action than ever. But what's funny is it may not even really turn out to be more time. We sometimes, at least for myself, I'll speak for myself, in the past, had confused actually taking action with thinking about taking action. And so, like, you may not even give more time to take the action. You're just going to be in faster action. Like, imagine you literally have 30 seconds to send notes, and that's it. So that's really the invitation, is just to take on action. And then what's your expression of making this really, really simple? Like when I was talking about the ice the body thing, that wasn't meaning it had to be the only way to bring it up. What I was trying to get to was just all we're talking about is this, so that you can have it be simple for yourself and in your mind. So when you go to people, that's what people really need, is just simplicity. So what's your expression of that? And just, that's it. Like, really, it's just your expression getting in action. And any closing notes? Anybody want to share what they took away from the call?
I just want to send a quick shout out to you guys. I mean, such powerful content in this call. It's so great. And, you know, it's not necessarily things I haven't heard before, but just to, like, how you guys delivered it and the conversations we're having, just really powerful. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we don't have any new secrets. It's just the same secrets.
I love the simplicity, though. I mean, really getting rid of all the fluff.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep. David, were you going to share something?
I was just going to share, I always have liked that about Jocelyn, as she said, you always say the solution for things is to do something, to get into action. And something that Lindsay said on a while ago that I really tried to do that really works when that chatter starts happening before you pick up the phone, is to stop and try to visualize the person, you know, being excited about you calling. Just that little thing helps move the chatter away and just helps you press send. That is really helpful. So
that's perfect. That's awesome. Yes. Go in. Is there a yes? Dawn, were you going to say something?
No, I just really needed to hear all of this tonight. I'm struggling with picking up the phone and like it's a wall kicking moment for me this week. Not moment, but wall kicking week, because I'm getting nowhere with what I'm doing, and I'm taking the wrong kind of action. I'm taking the action that is, I'm scared to pick up the phone, so I'm skirting around it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can I say something to that? Because oh my goodness, do I absolutely hear myself in what you just said, Dawn? And I think for me, what I notice, my energy immediately shifts. Because when you, like, even saying, like, I'm getting nowhere, and, like, I was starting to feel like that, is, again, we always win if the goal is to contribute to people. Like if we really are coming from that, it's when we get attached to the result. Like, duh, of course we want the result. That's why, we're all here. But notice, because I had to keep checking in for myself, like my energy kind of dipped, and then I had to go back to, is it the results that I'm focused on, or is it, hey, who can I contribute to? How can I just keep that flow going? So I don't know if that helps, but I totally heard myself in what you just said.
That does help a lot. And I think you're right. I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing on have some goals, and I'm not hitting them, and it feels yucky.
Yeah. And, the other thing I meant to share and I didn't, but especially looking at, when I look at the faces on this call, each and every one of you, Margie, Dawn, Joy, Kathy, Michael, every single one of you, I think the biggest thing I want to impart on everyone is trust yourself. There's so many little things, and it's okay to want to draw inspiration and know, okay, well, what would Lindsay say, or what would Jocelyn say, or what would Michael say to this? Trust yourself, because the answers really are already within you. And you're always going to have those moments where you think of the perfect thing to say after the phone call, or after, you meet the stranger in the grocery store and you're like, I didn't say it. I think, again, if we get out of our heads and into our heart, this really is a heart business. Your heart knows what to say. And it might sound messy, but it might be the most beautiful mess. And it just has that person say, oh my gosh, you get me. And you're not perfect. So the more we can all just have that be our mantra, like trust yourself, trust that you know what to say to contribute to another human being. That's all that we're really out to do. And that there's no right thing to say at all. There really isn't. There's things that you probably hear and pick up that sound good, and you're like, I want to sound like that. Just sound like you. Really, that's the biggest advice that I can give anyone.
Can I add one more thing to that?
Please.
The one thing that's really been helpful for me over the past 2 or 3 weeks, I understand it's like, we're always out to help other people and contribute. And, as a business and you're trying to enroll and you're having this conversation, the chatters in your head, whatever is stopping you from taking that next action. For me, what's been really helpful is that I'm just making things fun and light. Like, honestly, like I was even, whether it's with just people that I didn't enroll or just people that I have enrolled or just friends and family, like when I have an awesome, like a silly little, I'm texting a friend about our snacks. Like I've never been so happy to have this new like egg with pickles and relish for my snack. And we're just texting fun. And when I go back to that space, it reminds me like why I'm doing what I'm doing, beyond everything else. It's just like really just reaching out, connecting, and just having fun, and basically just sharing with people. So it's like the really simple things in life that makes people smile and makes you smile, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this. Beyond everything else that's really big, and we tend to make it really serious. So that's all.
That's so good. Awesome. Well, I know we could all sit and chat with each other all night long, but we all have families and other things to get to. So we're going to cut it off there. Keep showing up. That's all I can say. Keep showing up, especially on the nights that you don't want to come to these calls, because the call needs you just as much as we often need the call. All right. We love you guys. Have a great night.
Bye, everybody.